Stanbic IBTC, moving forward.
Business trends beyond the headlines.
We had a substantial amount of capital available to invest.
Government policies, macro indices, market movement. Business Express on Smooth 98.1 in association with Stanbic IBTC.
It's your love music, love life radio station with Smooth 98.1. Time to talk business. This time is always good for business. Start the day right. With Rotus here in the studio, send a message to WhatsApp 0809 444 That's 0809 444 We're streaming live on YouTube. You can check out Twitter at Smooth91FM, the hashtag Business Express 91.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Valentine. Good morning, Lagos. So lots to get into today. Of course, the federal government has reduced their budget. They've sent it to the National Assembly for review. And we all know, of course, we've talked about this on the show earlier this week, that the benchmark oil price for our budget has been reduced from $57 to $30. Also, the Minister of Finance has, of course, also announced that the oil production has been reduced from 2.1 million barrels per day to 1.7. What does this mean? Where are the figures here? So they reduced the revenue projection for the 2020 budget has been reduced by about 3.3 trillion naira, from the initial amount of 8.4 trillion to 5 trillion naira. That's the revenue that has come down now. And as a result of that, it means that deficit has increased. Because remember, there was your deficit. The deficit is the difference between your revenue that you expect to bring in and your expenditure as far as spending is concerned. Now they did reduce they reduced the expenditure, but I'm not really satisfied by the reductions here. I know capital about 315 billion is what capital expenditure was reduced by, I believe by about 20%, but we didn't see the same margin for recurrent expenditure. The Punch actually listed a number of items that that on the recurrent side they were going to be reducing. So again, you're looking at about 25 recurrent expenditure was reduced by just 25 billion naira, from 4.49 billion to 4.46, while capital expenditure was 155. I thought it was 312 billion, but from 2.78 trillion to 2.62 is what they reduced their capital expenditure by. So more is a larger reduction in capital expenditure, which we need for infrastructure, than recurrent, which is salaries. Where are the breakdowns here? Anniversaries and celebrations were reduced by 3 billion, computer software 3.14, office buildings 24 billion, residential buildings 479. These are, for government folk where they live and do their stuff. Where are the cars? Purchase of motor, 1.9 billion for purchase of motor vehicles. So they reduced this furniture and other things. Look, personal finance 101, yeah? When your revenues are reduced, I think a larger cut should happen when it comes to your expenses, yeah? You have to make a big cut in expenses to match your revenue reduction. And I feel that a larger cut should have taken place with regards to recurrent expenditure. There's still so many overlapping agencies. There's still, large overhead costs that government has to take in. Does everyone remember the conversation about the pension for life for the different governors across the different states? Do you remember the how they passed these things into law? Their security details and so on and so forth. I mean, all these things have to be looked at when you are facing a revenue crunch and you have to now reduce how much you spend. When you have facing a revenue crunch, and yes, and reduce how much you're going to be spending. So, it's a good move that they are facing realities, but I don't think they faced it to the extent that they should have. Higher Rotus is the National Assembly salary is captured in the budget. Joel, yes, it is. National Assembly budget is they're in there as well, but I don't see any reduction in salaries with regards to recurrent expenditure. Again, the breakdown I'm showing from the Punch: anniversaries and celebrations, computer software, office buildings, residential buildings, monitoring and evaluation. Not sure what that is. Maybe that's security cameras or whatever. Land acquisition, the Land Use Act. Purchase of motor vehicles and office furniture. Those are the okay. No. There's more. Rehabilitation of office buildings, repair of residential buildings, research and development.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, I know, research and
won't allow
development.
you.
Anyway, provision of roads, provision of water
What do you
facilities.
mean?
No, because
We
look,
do research. We just don't have data.
I
Well, how do you do
mean,
research
well,
without data?
that's what I'm saying. It's not like we rely a lot
don't
on
have
outside
enough.
sources. A lot of the major data points for Nigeria, they rely on outside sources for them. But be that as it may, we're seeing reduction, so I can't say that they're not doing anything. So provision of water facilities, provision of waterways, repairs of public schools, they've reduced that one. Purchasing of power generating sets. I mean, there's a number of items here that they've reduced, but again, one wants to see more of this go into salaries. What is it called now? Allowances for members of government. That's where you really want to see a lot of these reductions. But okay, they sent it to the National Assembly. I believe the National Assembly is back. They took a 2-week break. They're supposed to be back yesterday or a day before on the 7th. Right. So they should be back in office now and ready to pass this. And look, another thing, ladies and gentlemen, is Nigeria's deficit, now that it has increased, how do you plug the gap? It's more borrowing, right? And now with the fact that the Fitch, Moody's, S&P have all downgraded us, it's harder now to raise money from the debt markets. I know that we're supposed to raise $3.3 billion for a euro bond. They put that one aside and said, well, maybe we'll not be able to do this because it might be more expensive when the ratings agencies have now caused our ratings to decline. So now what do you do? So you probably have to look elsewhere. I know they were looking for 6.5 billion or so from World Bank, IMF, and the Islamic Development Bank, even the African Development Bank as well. So there's that. So now you're now looking at a much more daunting task to raise the money that you need to spend on a number of things. Oh, by the way, 150 billion was allocated for the COVID-19 fight. So that's also there as well, in addition to other avenues that they've used to raise money. Benga Kamo says, Rotus, the governors won't touch their retirement benefits. They are very insensitive to public outcry on things like this. Yeah, Benga, that's a tough one, It's a tough one there. We're not likely to see any reductions there. What else is happening? All right, this is some good news. Just funny enough, a day after Val and I were talking about the president of Ghana, talking about giving Ghanaians relief for electricity. The association, where is their name here? ANAD, I believe, or the ANED, excuse me, the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, their executive director, Mr. Barrister Sunday Oduta, said that they had decided to give free electricity for 2 months to customers nationwide. This is going to happen through the discos. So remember, we're praising Echo. I believe it was Echo Disco. Well, Echo said they would not disconnect anybody for the next 2 weeks during the lockdown here. But now this is widespread. Why do I have a feeling that Ghana is what in
2 months?
This is 2 months. I'm reading 2 months here. It's a 2 month rebate of free electricity for customers nationwide. They said they were going to give out the details later. But why do I get the feeling that this happening 24 hours after Ghana did their own? I don't know. Anyway, let me not go into that. Right? Let's not make it a Ghana Nigeria thing.
Making it bill free or just giving us free service.
Yes.
Is one, but giving the light itself.
Yeah, that's the problem now. I didn't have light. My power has been terrible in my area.
So if we have power, that'll be a good conversation to have.
It will be good. So again, they will provide details. We'll see how that works out. But it's a good move. They're saying that due to what the impact of the coronavirus on a number of communities and so on and so forth. Again, it bears repeating that a number of Nigerians have been suffering before coronavirus happened. We really need to put things into perspective. This is a very welcome initiative. Yes, it's good to see that people will be given a break like everywhere else in the world that this is happening. So good on the good discos, good on Nigeria, good on the House of Reps, actually. You need to give them the props because it was on Saturday, I'm reading here that they called for supply of free electricity to Nigerians for 2 months. So Speaker Femi Gbajamiela I hope I could pronounce that right, made the call at a meeting between the National Assembly leadership and Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed and Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze. So they made that call and the discos have responded. So, it's okay. Now here comes the resistance. Whose message is this? How do you you read it now?
Azuka says, how do you give free 2 months power when it's prepaid? Paid
Right.
ahead.
So Azuka, what you see again, that's why they said that the details will happen. So you can't unless you've paid for 6 months ahead of time or 8 months. I assume most people, although funny enough, on personal finance, I said this last week or 2 weeks ago that, for the sake of managing your power, you should pay for multiple months ahead if you can afford to do so. So pay for 2 months or 3 months, and then you're like, I've paid more for power. So when visitors come, you tell them to shut off all your light bulbs, and you're more cognizant of how much power you use. But anyway, most people, I assume, prepay for a month or 2 ahead at most. So what will happen is, as they've said, the details will be released later. They'll probably go back and look at their records. So if, for example, if you've already paid Azuka for, what month are we in? April? So if you've already paid for May and June, maybe they'll give you July and August free. So I think that's how it will work. Okay, let's see now. Who else do we have?
Manuel.
Yeah, what's Henry saying?
So Rotus, remember that the recurrent expenditures are mostly non-discretionary. They have an obligation to pay salaries, debt service, retire maturing financial or financing instruments. Negotiating any of these will take time, at least at the immediate term. On the mid to long term, they should readjust, but I'm not holding my breath. Also, I think the National Assembly should amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act to increase the fiscal deficit band from 3% upward to 5%.
Good call.
If you check the budget implementation report, it's obvious the government is not keeping to that rule. Anyways, expanding the band might create room for more capital expenditure. At least that's my naive hope.
Yeah, Henry, thank you for. You see, I don't even have to say anything. He's captured it. That last sentence, he's hoping that it's for capital expenditure, but what if it's not used for that? So excellent points raised there. The only thing I'll push back on is the salary part, Henry. I mean, we have a RMFAC, the revenue mobilization folks. They are able to study these things, and these things can be passed relatively quickly. I mean, again, the pensions and what these are folks at the National Assembly and the governors, what they enjoy. I mean, we've already saw Benga's message there. It's quite a lot. I can't remember the analysis that was done where they said that, what is it? Less than 100,000 people are responsible for trillions in benefits. So it's something that I believe could have been looked at. But hey, it is what it is. But good on the government. Thank you to the House of Reps for asking Discos to give Nigerians a break. There's still, of course, folks who have estimated billing, and I hope they are brought into the picture as well. The folks who have to go through estimated billing and the high amounts they pay. I assume it's just a suspension of charges across the board for everyone. Again, it will help if everybody had meters and also be able to measure these things appropriately. So we still have a lot of issues to face. What else is happening? The group managing director of the NNPC, Mr. Melekiari, made a big announcement yesterday on the television interview. He says that Nigeria is no longer going to handle the refineries. They said they're going to hand them over to a private company. Didn't release details of who the company is, but it's a good move. Now, check this now. This is a logical step because it's taking place not long after they said they've gotten rid of. In fact, it's a day or two later after he had officially said that subsidy is gone, right? So if you think about it, what has stopped investors from wanting to come and revamp the refineries? If you come and drop millions of dollars or billions into, I think it was $2 billion or $3 billion, it was the estimated cost for revamping those refineries. I mean, how do you make your money back if you're capping prices at 145, right? Nobody will want to do that. Nobody's going to want to bring money and pump it into your refinery and fix it if the fuel I'm now selling or is now capped at a certain price. I'm not going to make my money back. So this is a good move on the part of the NNPC in first. Again, there's some pushback on that deregulation talk of PMSO. There's still the fact that, NNPC is still the major importer or sole importer of refined fuel into the country. The marketers are not able to access foreign exchange at the same rates that NNPC is able to access forex. So if you are bringing in fuel at what is now 380, in fact, parallel market now is 420 and upwards, how do you now sell fuel at 123.50? So there's still that issue. Anyway, I'm sure I assume they will attend to that in due time. But for now, good news, he says they're no longer going to be handling the refineries. They're going to hand over to someone else, private institution, hopefully pretty soon. So it follows. It's a logical step. You deregulate, somebody comes in, revamps the refineries, and then we go from there. Now, of course, you know that the richest man in Africa is building his own refinery, and a government has given him a lot of support. So I think this is very interesting timing that they are choosing to sell off these refineries and give it to another private investor. So there'll be some competition in that circle. So let's all be here curious to see how.
Imagine if that's the guy. Imagine.
It'd be nice to see how it will work out.
Benga, come and say, how many times have we heard government was handing over refineries to the private sector, only to have a last-minute foul and the refineries stay in the cozy comfort of the government?
Very, very good. Very, very true, Benga. But of course, why I'm feeling optimistic, or as Henry put it earlier, naive optimism, if I should say, is that they say they've deregulated. So if you deregulated PMS, this should follow. Now, of course, kerosene, diesel. I haven't seen any movement in prices there, but we'll have to wait and see how things occur from that end. But this is, I guess I can't remember last time I had relatively good news to share on this show with regards to the moves that the government was making. They realistically, well, to a certain extent, realistically reduced their budget. Remember, I talked extensively about oil yesterday. The meeting is today, 4 p.m. in Vienna. I think it's 3 p.m. here or 5 p.m. here. The news will come out. So Russia came out yesterday giving some clues that they are inclined to cut output, but it looks like they want the US to join in. Everything we'll all see. I heard the US is not even attending today's meeting because we'll see how things turn out. So again, tying that oil, what's happening in oil markets, to the decision to reduce the benchmark oil price, I think was a good move. It's realistic. I really like what Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed has been saying. I like what Amela Kyari's got some fans, or the GMD of NNPC. Folks, he's the one that was very honest about the fact that we weren't able to sell most of our cargoes. He was very honest about the refineries. He's been very honest about deregulation of the downstream sector. So it's good. Finally, I don't know whether this one makes sense, but still makes sense. Federal government has declared a public holiday tomorrow and Monday. Nobody's going anywhere. So, but still, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, still Easter Friday, Easter Monday, but while on lockdown. So if you think about the hits on productivity, I counted Val. I lost count. I think 10 checkpoints. If you add Lekki plus VI coming to the station, I think it was about 9 or 10. It was better than yesterday. And you know what? I should give some props to the police and the Lagos State, because a lot of people have been flouting this.
We don't hear.
We don't listen.
Like somebody said.
We don't listen. And there were lots of cars, so the police they clamped down on them. So today, way less cars on the road.
We're taking for compulsory test yesterday
to check their heads.
You know me.
Well, yeah, because we walk. That's why we showed off. We have to serve you guys. But essential services.
We should borrow a lead from Uganda. They are arresting people who are flouting those rules.
In fact, even in Lagos, somebody posted a picture on Twitter yesterday. They were making some guys, they saw a cut running, do frog jump. They were like, okay, if you want to leave your house and do exercise, the military people will give. So it was somewhere in Lagos. I can't remember where.
What part of your body do you want to work?
You go and do frog jump. So please, let's follow the rules. But good news from the government. Again, we'll see how. I know tomorrow is Tech Friday, but whatever outcome in oil, I'll talk about it early tomorrow before going into technology.
All right, stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. If you missed any part of the show, go check out the recap on YouTube. It's Smooth 981 FM Lagos.
Beyond the headlines.
We had a substantial amount of capital available to invest.
World's business news from a Nigerian perspective that help you stay informed more than just numbers.
We've invested well over $1.5 billion.
Jobs will be